send you the sample questions. Most likely yun na rin yung lalabas. Plus suggested answers. Para at least may guide kayo what would happen during the comprehensive examination. Now, what do you call this? I think I'm assigned to review 2 subjects. Sensya na, medyo maliwanag dito sa likod. At saka if may background ng asong kumakahuli. So please bear with me kung what do you call this, kung medyo maingay din ang background. But anyway, what do you call this? I'm assigned to review 2 subjects, that is hospital management and financial information system, and the other one is legal and ethical aspects of health administration. So I think we will start first with hospital management and financial information. Although pareho lang naman ang weights nila, kaso lang mas maraming questions sa hospital management and financial information system. So if it's okay with you, let's start. I'll try to keep this one short para at least you still have time to review also under General Acosta. I think mga 10:30 ata siya o 11 o'clock mag-start. So let's start with Let's start with our subject, hospital management. Okay. In the topic hospital management, we'll be more in our comprehensive examination, we would be more focused on the we would be more focused on the financial statements as well as in the we'll be more focused on financial statement as well as financial projection. Kasi doon talaga naka-focus yung kuan natin. Can you see my slide now?
Yes po, Doc.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Doktor ni ano. Ay, hindi. Okay. So again, as I have mentioned also during our discussion on the subject financial management, probably more focus on the discussion, the gist of the financial management information system is all about the 3 aspects. We have the financing decision, and we have the investment decision, and the dividend decision. Pag sinabi mong financing decision, ito yung konsepto sa administration ng hospital wherein you're more focused on saan maghahanap ng pera. Okay? So, again, in financial management or in financial information system or hospital management, pag sinabing financing decision, we're more focused on the 2 things in financing decision. I hope you remember the equity financing and the debt financing. Ano yung ano yung debt financing muna? Well, kung kailangan mo ng pera at maghahanap ka ng pera, saan ka ba pupunta? Normally, you go for debt financing. Ano yung debt financing? Ito yung part ng wherein you go to the bank and borrow money. So it's basically more on borrowings. Yung debt financing, naghahanap ka ng pera through borrowings. So ano yon? Punta ka sa bangko, mag-loan ka, and I guess everyone probably has recalled our discussion in this aspect na punta ka sa bangko. The other one also is the other one is bonds. Or ano yung mga bonds, sir? Well, kung ang pinagkaiba lang sa loan at saka sa bonds is that in the case of bonds, si lender yung nagpapautang ang pupunta sa mangungutang. Which is quite the opposite kasi alam natin pagdating sa loan, si nangutang ang pupunta sa bangko para manghiram ng pera. I think nakakuan sila. Paano ko kaya ma-mute sila? Ayan, thank you. Thank you. So, at saka si Doc Sandy ata. Hindi ko kasi ma-mute. Ayan, okay. So, ang kuan natin is kung ang loan, you go to the bank, ikaw ang pupunta sa bangko para manghiram ng pera o pupunta ka sa uutangan mo para manghiram ng pera. In the case of bonds, it's quite the opposite. Yung magpapahiram ang pupunta sa manghihiram para ipahiram yung pera niya. So that's basically what bonds is all about. Actually, pareho lang sila ng konsepto eh. The other difference also is that in the case of bonds, what you call this? In the case of bonds, normally binabayaran siya together with capital and interest one time during maturity date. Unlike sa loan, kung maalala ninyo, kung meron man sa inyo, nakapag-loan na, ang nangyayari, you pay your loan on a monthly amortization basis. Fix yung binabayaran mo until matapos mo siyang bayaran. Hindi pagdating sa bonds. In the case of bonds, it's normally one-time payment. So let's say 1 million ang hiram ka, payable in 5 years. After 5 years, ang babayaran mo, isahan lang, 1 million yung inutang mo plus kung magkano man ang interest. Let's say 1 million din. So at the end of 5 years, ang babayaran mo ay 2 million. That's financing. Now, this is one typical way where some of the decision makers of the organization, yun yung common nila na way of financing. Kasi yun ang pinakamadali. At yun ang, hindi na kailangan ituro sa atin. And we learned that probably in our college days na kung medyo malakihan, you go to the bank and borrow money through loan financing. Now, the other one, meron tayong hindi common sa iba, yung tinatawag naming equity financing. In the case of equity financing, ang nangyayari naman sa equity financing is that instead na mangutang ka, you invite investors in your company. Kumbaga pa, it's also one way of raising funds. It's also one way of, kung kailangan mo ng pera, they mag-invite ka na investors. And I think some of us or all of us is familiar with this method of raising funds kasi in this way, wala kang utang. Halimbawa, meron kang business, meron kang hospital, gusto mong madagdagan yung funds mo kasi magtayo ka ng, let's say, parking, kailangan mo ng malaking funds, ayaw mong mangutang through loans or bonds, through debt financing, you go for equity. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Mag-invite ka ng mga investors. Okay. Anong pinagkaiba doon sa investors at saka doon sa utang kanina? Well, in the case of investors, hindi ka obligadong magbayad sa kanila. Tulad nung bonds kanina or loan, sa loan, whether kumita yung business mo, whether your business is earning or not, or whether you have net income or net loss that particular year, you have to pay the bank. You cannot go to the bank and tell the bank, I will not pay you this month muna or this year. Bakit? Losing ako losing yung hospital ko losing yung business ko Hindi pwede yun. You have to pay the bank. Walang pakialam ang bank kung kumita ka. Which is not the case sa equity financing. Kasi since you are inviting investor, the tendency is the investors will become a co-owner. Indirectly, they become a co-owner. So as a co-owner, they also shared the same or similar responsibilities and duties to the to same responsibilities as that of the owner. So ikaw, kung yung investor na yun, kumita yung nalugi yung business mo, hindi ka obligadong magbayad sa kanya na ibalik yung ininvest niya. Kasi siya bilang may-ari, he will also share the same responsibilities to the organization or to the hospital. Kung kumita ang hospital, kikita siya. Kung nalugi ang hospital, nalugi din siya. So that's the good thing. However, the disadvantage in the case of investor or co-owner, kasi ang tawag natin doon parang co-owner siya, is that there will be some newcomers who would be sharing the duties and responsibilities in managing the hospital. So ang mangyayari doon, since may bagong may-ari na doktor, pagdating sa decision making, ang mangyayari doon, he will also, what you call this, he will participate in the decision making. So because magpa-participate siya, minsan nagka-clash na yung idea. So sometimes, kung before sana ka nag-invite ng investors, maganda ang there's camaraderie, there is harmony in the admin side of the hospital, and because you invited someone outsider who become a co-investor and co-owner, minsan baka yung mga bago, nagka-clash kayo ng idea on how to manage the hospital. Yun ang negative doon. Kaya minsan, if you go for equity financing, you see to it that the newcomers, the newbies, would definitely of the same, you'd be the same, singing the same song. Hindi yung minsan kasi pag meron talagang ibang investor, pagdating sa board meeting, lalo na sa board meeting, which I normally attended, if my clients would invite me for may mga legal questions sila with the board meeting, minsan nagka-clash talaga yung idea ng mga owners, ng mga administrators. And the problem, doon nagkakaroon ng problema. And sometimes, the one that used to be harmonized organization, wherein there is camaraderie, there is teamwork, sometimes nasisira pag merong mga baguhan. So, if those things would happen, kailangan you as the previous co-owner or the one who came earlier to the organization, kailangan marunong kayo makisama doon sa baguhan. Kasi the tendency is, if you do not know how to, play teamwork with the new one, magkakagulo lang ang organization. So instead na dati ang problema mo ay pera lang, baka ang problema mo na ngayon how to administer, how to manage the organization, with at the same time taking into consideration also the opinion of the newbies or the newcomers. So gaya ng sabi ko sa inyo, I don't know if you remember during the time when we took this subject, ang tanong ba doon, sir, ano ang mas maganda kung maghanap kung kailangan mo ng pera? Is there such thing as better remedy pagdating sa financing? Yun ba yung should I go, sir, for debt financing, mangutang na lang ako, or should I go for equity financing, mag-invite ako ng investors? Well, I don't know if you remember also during that time, sabi ko sa inyo, there is no hard and fast rule pagdating dyan. Why? Well, it depends on the personality of you who been an existing administrator of the hospital. Nasa sa mga personalidad ninyo yon. Let's say, for example, should I go for debt financing? Mangutang na lang ba ako, sir? Maganda ba yon? Well, depende yun sa inyo. Gaya ng sabi ko, hindi ko ma-apply yung ibang tao, but I would take myself, kung ako yon. Well, if I would be the president of the hospital or any organization, should I go for debt financing? Ayoko. Bakit ayoko sa debt financing? Kasi ang mahirap sa debt financing, ako, personalidad ko, ayoko yung may utang ako. Hirap maghanap ng pera pagdating ng 15, may binabayaran ka, parang mangangarag ka parate. Where would I get the money to pay off my monthly bills or my monthly amortization? In our case, like for example, as a lawyer, we don't have that fixed monthly income because not all the time we could get client or hired client for in our auditing firm. So not all the time we could find a client to sustain our corporate needs. So anong normally kuan namin? So what we normally do is that if we have the money, we pay off the debts. Bibili namin yung mga gusto namin. So kung ako ang magiging administrator ng isang hospital, I will not go for debt financing because that's my personality. Now, in my case, I would prefer an equity financing. Bakit naman, sir? Kasi sa equity financing, ang isa lang naman talagang problema sa equity financing is that marunong kang makisama sa mga baguhan na papasok. So if there will be newbies, mga newcomers who will be joining the organization, you being the administrator or the, let's say, the leader of the hospital or the organization, you must know how to deal with, play teamwork. Ako naman, personality ko is that according to other people, medyo I am a people person. I could easily, go along with anyone pagdating sa pakikisama. So, hindi problema sa akin yun. But if your personality is the one like, same example ko to, yung dati kong sinabi sa inyo, like you are like President Duterte, who does not want to be criticized, may mga taong ganun naman talaga eh. Na ayaw nilang criticize sila. Although their intentions may be good, but there are mga tao talaga that they don't want to be criticized. So if you're the type of person, I would suggest you don't go for equity financing, because in the case of equity financing, kailangan kukuhanin mo yung normal na i-criticize ka ng mga baguhan eh. So kung medyo galit ka sa mga ganong tao na kini-criticize yung decision mo, might as well don't go for equity financing. So as I have said, it all depends on the personality of the person or of the leader, kung saan siya hiyang. Okay? So that is the financing decision. The other one is what we have, the investment decision. Ngayon na may pera ka na, sir, saan ko ipapasok tong kaperahan ko? Kasi tulad nung in a personal perspective, hindi rin maganda na kung kailan may pera ka, saka ka maghanap kung anong bibilin mo. Kaya maganda, habang wala ka pang pera, at gusto mong bumili ng sasakyan, mag-shopping ka na. Diba? You get to compare. Kasi kung may pera ka na, saka ka maghanap ng sasakyan, baka dahil sa sobrang excited mo, the tendency is you might not be able to buy the value of or the worth of your money. You might not be able to buy the car that is worth the value or the worth of your money. Yun ang medyo problema. So, habang wala ka pang pera, mag-window shopping ka na muna kung anong klaseng sasakyan. Same goes with the case of hospital or any organization. Habang wala kang pera, alamin mo na kung ano yung problema ng hospital mo. Kung ano yung mga nakikita mong concerns. So, let's say kulang ka ng parking. Okay. So, kailangan mo ng parking. So, kailangan mo ng space. Kailangan mo ng bumili ng lupa. So, mag-canvas ka na doon sa area na yun kung alin ang doon ang mas malapit sa hospital mo. Or let's say may lupa ka na, so you have to put up a building for your parking, then mag-canvas ka na sa iba-ibang mga construction company. How much would it cost you to build a parking space or a parking building? So may idea ka na. So that once you have the money, alam mo na saan pupunta yung pera mo. So, sir, yun bang pagtayo ng building, is it also a form of an investment? We call that in accounting a capital expenditure, which indirectly that is called also an investment. Ang idea naman kasi natin ng investment, hindi lang yung investment you go to the stock market, even putting up a building or constructing a building, that can also be constituted as an investment, although we call it a capital expenditure. Kumbaga pa, expenses siya, pero you have to capitalize it. So in one way or another, it is still called an investment. So now there are certain ways na halimbawa, may pera ka na, mag-aral ka ngayon. You as the leader, gaya ng sabi ko sa inyo during our past lecture siguro, I think you've been my former students, hindi mo pwedeng ilagay yung pera mo sa bangko. Otherwise, matatalo ka sa inflation. Otherwise, pag ilagay mo sa bangko yon, the time value of your money 5 years ago, it always be different from the time value of money today. So, gaya ng nakikita natin normally in the Facebook, na if for example, what do you call this? If normally, makikita natin na ito yung nagastos ko nung 1,000, ganito puno yung pushcart ko sa grocery. After 5 years, kalahati na lang. When, sasabihin natin, pareho lang namang 1,000 yun 5 years ago sa 1,000 ngayon. Well, you're correct. Technically, they're the same money. The 1,000 5 years ago has the same appearance as that of the 1,000 peso bill of today. But it's not actually the appearance that counts when it comes to, money value, but the valuation of the money. Kasi, certainly, the 1,000 pesos 5 years ago, mas marami kang mabibili than the 1,000 pesos of today. So, doon papasok yung time value of money, which is part and parcel when it comes to a decision making. Kasi when you try to make decision for your company, you have to consider the several aspects of decision making. The first one is the time value of money. Ano yung time value of money, sir? So, gaya ng sabi ko, magkaibang valuation ng pera 5 years ago, 10 years ago, than its valuation of today. Kung 5 years ago, nakabili ka ng 1,000,000 na 5 hektarya, ngayon siguro baka 3 hektarya na lang. Parehong 1,000,000 yun. What happened? It's because of the valuation of the money, which is brought about by inflation, by the economic condition of the community or the economic condition of the country. So those are the factors. Now, you, as being the administrator, being the president of the hospital, hindi lang din enough na doktor ka. And in fact, that's the reason why you study also hospital administration. Kasi when you become administrator of the hospital, the bulk of your function is no longer on it's no longer about how to sa mga patients' health, how to cure your patients, but it's more on about the administration na, the management of the hospital. Tulad nga din sa amin ding mga lawyer, ganun din. Sa law office namin, pag ikaw ay isang managing partner, katulad ko, I'm the managing partner, equivalent yun sa isang presidente ng isang hospital, pero maliit lang yun. Hindi naman hospital na pa. Parang sa amin, sa isang auditing law firm or auditing firm, pag ikaw ay managing partner, ang tawag sa iyo parang presidente ka ng isang hospital. Which is, actually, most of my function now is not about lawyering na eh. Most of my functions in the office are basically about management of the law firm. Bihira na nga lang din akong nag-appear sa court, bihira lang akong nag-attend sa mga hearings, and most of my functions is basically how to run the law firm. Ganon din sa isang pagiging doktor. But it does not necessarily mean that you abandon your being a medical practitioner. Wala naman. You still perform your function, except that, let's say 60% of your day function is more focused on the management of the hospital rather than, you being a doctor. So, pagdating sa investment decision bilang presidente ng isang corporation, it is really mandatory that you learn the basic knowledge about investment, you learn the basic knowledge about how to manage a hospital, how to maximize the funds of the hospital. Kasi let's face it, the reality is, whether you like it or not, when it comes to managing let's say a hospital for instance, hindi pwedeng walang pera. Hindi pwedeng walang pera. At saka, I don't know if you remember during the time when we took this subject, I always emphasize na the resources, the funds of the organization is actually the most important aspect. Sinasabi nila tao, yes, nandoon na rin yung tao, but take note, like for example, yung mga foundation, yung mga volunteerism na mga organization, kahit sabihin mong volunteer yan, kailangan pa rin ng pera yan, kailangan pa rin ng resources. And because resources plays an important role in the organization, you being the leader, you being the president of the hospital, you should know how to manage them. You should know how to maximize the use of these resources. And in terms of investment, you should be able to, in terms of investment, you should be able to see to it that the funds that you have are being, in terms of use, are being maximized. Otherwise, gaya ng sabi ko, babalik tayo dun sa una, matatalo ka pagdating sa time value ng money. So sir, gaya ng sabi ko, let me go back. So kailangan ba natin matutunan yung computation? I don't know if you remember when we took this subject, I tried to avoid computation. Kasi una, hindi nyo naman forte yun eh. Pangalawa, pang-accounting talaga yun. Computation, yung time value of money, like the payback method, like the present value method, and the last one is the discounted cash flow method. You might be asking now, sir, kailangan pala namin matutunan din yung computation? Hindi naman. You can ask the assistance of your accountant. Sila nang magko-compute sa iyo noon. They will present to you the figure. Siguro naman alam nyo na ang 1 is mas malaki sa 5. So pag merong mga figures na doon, maintindihan nyo na, I will go for this scheme. I will go for this type of investment. Kasi, hindi nyo kailangan matutunan yung computation. In fact, when Dean Manny also informed me, attorney, prepare ka na rin ng question. So, nung ginawa ko nga yung question ninyo, there is no computation there. It's more on analysis, it's more on business analysis, but it's, ang ikli lang ng mga sagot. Hindi nga siya abot ng isang page kada isang question na sagot. Meron doon 2 paragraphs lang yung mga sagot. So, I tried to do away with the idea of computation kasi I know hindi ko rin naman tinuro sa inyo yung computation. So it's more on business analysis lang. So that is investment decision. Then we have to go now to dividend decision. Ano naman itong dividend decision? Well, in the dividend decision, we get to understand that it's also the obligation and the responsibility of the hospital. Although in the case of hospital kasi bawal sa inyo magkuha ng dividendo eh. You might be asking, sir, bakit yung hospital namin nagbibigay ng dividendo? If your hospital is a stock and profit hospital, you might be allowed to give dividend. Okay? Pero pag non-stock, non-profit ang isang hospital, which is generally ganon, they're not allowed to give dividend. So ano ba yung dividend? In layman's term, dividend, as I have said during our regular class, pag sinabi mong dividendo, profit sharing yan. But we don't use the word profit sharing kasi we use the profit sharing only if their corporate organization is a partnership. Tulad ng isang law firm, tulad doon sa amin, sa law firm namin, ang dividendo namin, ang tawag namin is profit sharing. So at the end of the year, kung may kumita yung company, paghatian yun ng mga partners, ng mga may-ari. Now, in the case of a corporation, if at the end of the year, there is a net income, kumita ang isang hospital, and the hospital is a stock and profit hospital, the tendency is they will distribute it to the owners of the hospital who are also doctors. So that distribution of the profit sharing, we called it the dividend. Yun yung tinatawag natin na dividendo. Now, sir, bakit kailangan pang function din yan? Because remember, bakit function pa rin siya ng isang presidente o isang leader ng isang hospital ang dividend sharing or dividend decision? It's because, remember, in the dividend decision, what you are distributing, what you are sharing to the owners are the funds of the organization. Gaya ng sabi ko, in terms of financial management or hospital management, everything that has something to do with resources, everything that has something to do with money or funds of the organization is part and parcel of hospital management and financial information system. So ibig sabihin nun, since what you are distributing in dividend decision are the funds of the organization, then it has to be one of the functions of the leader or of the president of the hospital in decision making. So, sir, pati ba naman yun kailangan pang pag-aralan? You might be asking, kailangan pang pag-aralan kung kailan i-distribute? Yes, because distribution of dividend has also some tax implication. So let's say meron kang 10 million, kumita ang hospital ng 10 million, 10 kayong, let's say 5 kayong mga may-ari ng hospital, so tigto 2 million kayo. Because you did not plan out, you do not know how to distribute the dividend, merong merong tawag dito, meron yang mga may final tax yan na around 10%. So ang bawat isa, 10% ng 2 million, kasi 10 million yun, divided by 5, 2 million each, 10% nun is 200,000, 1.8 lang matatanggap ng bawat isa. But if you are the leader, you are the president, and you know how to manage the distribution of your dividend, because as I have said, it involves some tax implication, baka mas mataas pa ang matatanggap. Sir, di kailangan palang mag-aral ng taxation. Yes, actually. Kaya doon sa subject ng legal and ethical health administration na i-discuss natin, part talaga sa discussion dapat doon is the taxation. Hindi naman siya yung taxation na tulad nung iba na masyadong nitty-gritty na talaga. But, at least you know the basic of taxation. Kasi, remember, when you distribute this, as I have said, when you distribute the dividend or the profit sharing, the tendency is you have to pay final taxes. But if you do it the right timing, somehow you could minimize the impact of taxation. Well, gaya ng sabi ko din, it entails computation. But then again, as I have said, here, I don't want to teach you computation kasi kaya nga kayo nagdodoktor kasi karamihan sa inyo ayaw siguro ng numbers. Pero wala kayo choice. Gusto nyo, pag nagmamanage talaga ng hospitals, you have, or any organization, you have to be kahit papano familiar ka sa numbers. But then again, gaya ng sabi ko, hindi mo kailangan matutunan yung computation. You can ask your accountant, hey accountant, can you do it for me? Pwede yun. Sila na lang mag-compute. Pero pagdating sa what you call this, pagdating sa computation, leave it to them. Pero kung may numbers na, madali nyo na maintindihan yun. Kasi gaya ng sabi ko, siguro naman alam nyo na mas malaki ang 5 kaysa 1, 10 kaysa 5, or sa 3 kaysa 1. So, basta alam nyo lang yung basic lang na numbers at meron na compute na ni accountant yun, you can easily come up with a decision. So, yung computation, you can always see. Pwede nating i-avoid ang computation here. So, again, in the dividend decision, it's always necessary that you as decision maker, you know the right timing. But then again, in terms of computation, you have to coordinate with your accountant. Siguro naman lahat ng hospital merong accountant. Hindi naman pwede ang isang hospital walang accountant. Sir, kailangan ba CPA? Hindi. Kahit graduate lang ng accounting, alam lang yung basic accounting, he can compute the basic taxation because the taxation that I'm referring to here is not the one that is so complicated na tulad nung sa ibang mga kliyente ko. Basic lang naman. So, if your accountant can compute it, alam mo yung mga numbers, basic lang naman ang mga numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lang naman. So, you can come up with a decision. Let's declare it on this day. Let's declare it at the end of the year. Or let's declare it on... It all depends. There's a better way actually of analyzing also the tax implication in the dividend decision. So, yun yung the basic summary. Then, gaya ng sabi ko sa inyo, I will tackle the next one is yung financial, what do you call this? I will tackle also the financial statements. So, let me now go to financial statement. Saan na yung financial statement? Nawala na. Okay. So, again, whether you are running let's say a hospital, or you are running a law firm or an auditing firm, or you're running a business like karinderya, or you're running a business like manufacturing company, kahit anong klaseng business or organization that you are managing, pareho lang ang financial statements. Magkapareho lang talaga siya lahat. Okay? They are all the same. Okay? But then again, gaya ng sabi ko sa inyo, I will not teach you on the computation. Kasi trabaho na rin ng mga account. Trabaho namin yan. Which is, it will not be able to finish it in one semester, much less siguro 1 year or kung ano pa yan. Because in our case, it took us 4 years to study financial statement. So ang sa atin lang dito, the basic key lang of understanding the financial statement, which is common in any business organization, be it a hospital, be it a foundation, be it a manufacturing, or be it a retail, or be it a law firm, pareho lang ang financial statement. Okay? Pareho lang din ang gamit niya. So, let's say you're running a hospital, ano ngayon ang gamit na ng financial statement? Dito, I will just be teaching you the use of the financial statement. I will not be teaching you the computation and some basic key aspect of the financial statement. Otherwise, baka hindi tayo matatapos nito ng isang review lang. Now, if you remember during our regular class, there are, as I mentioned in our regular class, there are several kinds of financial statements. Marami. Meron tayong tinatawag na uh, uh, aging of accounts receivable, that is a financial statement. Yung tinatawag naming notes to the financial statement, which is also a financial statement. There is a liability statement, there is an asset statement, there is an equity statement. Marami. Actually, name it, you could have as more or less mga 30 siguro financial statements. Okay? However, of the 30, or let's say 30 or 35 financial statements, tatlo lang dyan ang nangingibabaw. Ibig sabihin, sir, these three are actually the financial statements not only being useful in the organization, but they are also being required by government agencies. Ito lang ang tatlo ang nire-require sa gobyerno. So if you file your financial statements to the BIR or to the Securities and Exchange Commission or to the local government unit, ito lang tatlo. So yung 32 others, hindi yon. So sir, kung hindi pala yung 32, bakit siya ginagawa? Bakit siya pinapagawa ng ibang kumpanya? Actually, yung ibang kumpanya naman, they don't actually prepare all those 32 eh. Karamihan doon, 7 lang din. 4 doon yung mga iba. Pero itong tatlo would always be included in all organizations. So, you might be asking, sir, bakit anong use ng other 32? For decision making. Okay? Gaya ng sabi ko sa inyo, the financial statement is a record. Record siya. Parang logbook siya ng financial transaction ng corporation or ng organization sa isang taon. Bakit, sir? Tulad ng logbook, sa sobrang dami ng transaksyon ng corporation, you cannot recall it at the end of the year. Hindi mo marirecall yan pagdating ng December. Baka isang araw yung kahapon nga lang na transaction siguro ng corporation, hindi mo maalala lahat yun. What more for 365 days? So, one way of, recalling, remembering the financial transaction of the organization is by looking at or by preparing a financial statement. So the financial statement, remember, is only a record that reflects the financial transaction of the corporation or of the hospital or any organization. Kasi nga, remember, it only reflects the financial transaction. So any transaction of the hospital or of the corporation that has nothing to do with the money of the corporation or finances of the corporation, it will not be included in the financial statements. So gaya ng lagi kong example sa inyo, yung away ng mga doktor, yung away nila, chismisan nilang dalawa, kung nagchichismis man sila, walang hindi kasali sa financial statement. Yung away o yung isang doktor parating late, walang hindi isasali dito sa financial statement. Because in the financial statement, only has something to do with money. So yung kontrata na pinasok, na normally may involved na pera, kasama yan dito sa financial statements. Now, as I have said, there are more or less mga 30 to 35 financial statements. But these three are the major ones. What are these three major or key financial statements? We have the balance sheet, we have the income statement, and we have the cash flow statement. So, anong gamit ni balance sheet? Ano ba ito? Si balance sheet, ito yung sumasagot sa financial position ng organization. Ano ibig sabihin ng financial position? In layman's term, financial status ng corporation or ng hospital. So, if you want to find out if the hospital are not really financially stable, mayaman ba sila, you look at the balance sheet of the hospital. Parang sa tao, kung gusto mong malaman kung ang isang tao ay mayaman, di ba, normally pag tinatawag, pag we we use the term, anong financial status mo sa buhay? Financial status. Di ba pag sinabi yung financial status, ano yun? Has something to do with money, has something to do with wealth, material wealth, not yung heavenly wealth. Ibang usapin na yun. Pag sinabi mong financial status ng isang tao, we're talking about marami ba siyang pera, marami ba siyang lupain, marami ba siyang mga sasakyan, basta has something to do with financial and material wealth. Yun yung idea natin sa financial status. Ganon din sa pagdating sa balance sheet. Ang balance sheet, it answers the question kung mayaman ba si hospital, which is material or financial position or financial status. That's why in the balance sheet, it reflects what are the assets owned by the hospital. Pag sinabi mong assets, it reflects the material assets. So nandyan yung buildings, lupa, mga equipments, facilities ng hospitals. Lahat that has of monetary value. In fact, dito sa balance sheet, included in the asset, as part of the asset of the balance sheet, is yung mga sinasabi na goodwill o yung tinatawag na reputation. Sa tao kasi, kung normal ka na tao, parang, ang ganda ng reputasyon niya. Ganun lang. Mabait, magandang reputasyon niya kasi mabait na tao yan. Sa business organization, whether it is a hospital, whether it is an ordinary business organization, yung reputation nila, merong monetary equivalent yun. May monetary equivalent yun. So let's say, dati ang Jollibee ata has a goodwill of around mga 100 million or 200 million. I don't know kung magkano ng value nila ngayon. St. Luke's, mayroong monetary equivalent yung goodwill nila o yung reputation nila. So, pag bibilhin mo ang St. Luke's, kasama sa bibilhin mo doon yung goodwill or yung reputation ng St. Luke's, which is kung ang value niya, let's say 100 million, halimbawa lang, kasama yun sa babayaran mo. So you might be asking, saan doon ang 100 million? Well, it's the name. Maganda ang pangalan niya, reputable na hospital siya. So because of that, if you want to buy it and if they're willing to sell it to you, you have to include in the pricing the reputation of that institution. Otherwise, hindi siya pwedeng decoration lang. Kaya, napaka-importante sa isang organization yung reputation nila. Kaya if you notice, pag sisirain mo yung isang institution through social media, well, you have to face the consequences. Pwede kang kasuhan niya. So magkano yung damages? Depende sa reputasyon ng school. Parang halimbawa, diba, sinampal mo ang isang tao, isang tambay dyan, sinampal mo, at nagreklamo siya dahil sinampal mo siya, may damnus yun. Ang tawag namin doon sa batas, damnus pervicios. Dahil tambay lang yun, wala namang kwenta siguro, di, bayaran mo lang ng 1,000. Yun ang value ng reputasyon niya. Parang ganon. May value ang mga pangalan natin. Kaya, pagdating sa korte, magugulat ka, ano bang basehan ng korte pagdating sa damnus pervicios? Bakit yung isa sinampal niya yung tambay, bayad lang siya ng 1,000, 500 nga lang siguro, pesos. Pero yung isa, sinampal niya yung presidente ng Pilipinas, nagbayad na siya ng 100 million. Ano pinagkaiba? Well, it's because that's the president. It has a good reputation, or whether bad reputation, and it's still a president, which is, you know, in the eyes of the public, he has a reputation to maintain. So, pag manampal ka ng dalawang yan, siguraduhin mo lang yung sinampal mo, yung pag-presidente, automatically, pag presidente ang sinampal mo, milyones talaga. Yun ang basis ng damnus pervicios ng isang korte. Kaya do not be surprised bakit the court, they are not actually fixed when it comes to determination of damnus pervicios or damages. It's because in a damnus pervicios or damages, it all depends on the reputation of the victim. So, let's say, pagbalikan natin yung hospital, kung siniraan mo ang hospital, ay ingat ka. Kung siniraan mo ang St. Luke's, mas malaking damages ang kuwan mo kaysa sisiraan mo yung ordinaryong hospital lang na hindi pa masyado sikat. I think there is also similar instance pagdating sa PCU. Lately, the PCU was being bombarded in social media. So, because of that, I think nag-issue sila ng statement. They will file charges for those who uh, destroyed its reputation or who tainted its, tarnished the reputation. So, uh, pagdating sa social media, we should always be very careful also in posting kasi it would also affect, once it affects the reputation of the hospital or any institution, uh, you have to pay also for damages. Pag sinabing damages, doon papasok yung reputation. So anyway, so pagdating sa balance sheet, as I have said, it includes the asset. When you say the asset, it includes all the material uh, assets of the organization that has monetary value. And in fact, it also includes not only the material but even the what we call the reputation, because reputation, again in business, has monetary equivalent. Now, kasama din sa balance sheet are the what we call the liabilities. The liabilities are the utang. And I guess I don't have to explain that. So, pag sinabi mo sa tao na, di ba, minsan, anong yung mayaman na yan, di ba? Minsan may expression tayo, oo, mayaman sa utang. Di ba? May ganun tayong expression. Actually, it's that expression is based on the concept doon sa balance sheet na, you know, the the determination whether a person is well off or materially medyo what you call this, they're materially better off compared to other people. One way of can also measuring him is the liability or obligation that he may have. Kasi kaya ng sabi ko, marami kang asset, dami mo namang utang, minsan nawawala din yun. Kaya minsan expression nga natin, yun na, sinasabi ko na, you know, maraming mayaman sa utang. So, liabilities are also included. Now, the other one is the equity. Ano naman itong equity? Well, in the case of equity, ito yung magkano yung naipon mo sa buhay mo. Diba? So, dito mo makikita kung sa business or sa corporation, if you want to find out who are the investors, who are the co-owners of the hospital, tignan mo yung equity. So let's say si Dr. A, Dr. B, Dr. C, Dr. D, nandoon sila, and you want to find out how much is Dr. A putting in as investment in the hospital, how much is Dr. B investment in the hospital, then you just look at the equity. Doon mo siya makikita. Kaya, hindi madidinay ng ibang tao na, hindi naman ako investor dyan sa hospital na yan eh. Kunin mo lang yung balance sheet, tignan mo yung equity, doon mo makikita kung si Doc nga ay may-ari ng hospital o investor siya ng hospital o dito. By looking at the equity, kasi hindi mo maipindinay yun eh. Siguro, pwede niyang gawin, gagamit siya ng ibang tao. But again, in the hospital kasi, for you to be an owner of the hospital, one requirement is that you must be a doctor. So, hindi mo pwedeng gamitin yung anak mo, pangalan niya, ikaw magbabayad doon sa hospital as investor, tapos yung anak mo hindi naman doktor. Because it's a requirement of the law that you have to be a doctor. Just like also in the case of a law firm, sa lawyer naman sa amin, kailangan kung gusto mong maging gusto mong maging tawag dito, may-ari ng law firm, kailangan lawyer ka. Hindi pwedeng magfa-finance ka lang ng isang law firm, ifa-finance mo, akong gagastos sa law office, magpatayo tayo ng law building. Yan. Pero hindi siya lawyer. Kuan na lang yun. Ang mangyayari doon, financier lang siya. Pero hindi siya partner, hindi siya co-owner. Kasi hindi siya lawyer. Ganon din sa doktor. Ganon sa profession natin. Kailangan talaga, which is good. Bakit sir? Bakit ginagawa yung ganon? Why is it that you need to be a lawyer to be part of the law firm, to be the owner of the law firm? And why do you have to be a doctor in order for you to be part or co-owner of the hospital? Kasi po, professionals like doctors, lawyers, CPAs, engineers, we are bound by our ethics. Now, pag ang isang doktor kasi, naging doktor, bound siya sa ethics niya. Minsan, mas importante yung ethics kaysa magkano yung kikitain mo sa business. Yun yung pandot, yun yung pan. So, if you allow other people who are not professional, let's say hindi siya doktor o hindi siya lawyer to be part of the law firm, the tendency is, since wala siyang ethics, o hindi siya bound ng code of ethics ng profession ng lawyer o ng doktor, willing siyang mag-violate doon. Kasi hindi naman siya bound doon eh. Basta kumita lang. Yun yung konsepto. Unlike if all of you are doctors, all of you are lawyers, and you work in a law firm or in a hospital, and there is issue about, let's say, ethical issues, sometimes you don't care about the money. Kaysa naman ma-violate mo yung ethics ng medical ethics or legal ethics. You don't care about the what you call this, how much income you would earn in that particular engagement. Kasi ayaw mong i-violate. Otherwise, makatanggalan ka ng lisensya, patay tayo doon. 'Di ba merong dating doktor natanggalan ng lisensya precisely because yung clinic na yon, ang nangyari ata, yung clinic na yon, may-ari doon yung asawa niya. Pero yung kalokohan naman na ginawa kasi niya, that's beyond talaga sa kwan. So tinanggalan siya. I don't know if the license was being restored now. So yun yung ganon. If you include a non-doctor, non-professional in an organization composed of all professionals, sometimes they're willing to violate those code of ethics just for the sake of earning income. Okay? So dito mo malalaman sa balance sheet kung ano yung this, kung gaano kayaman ng isang corporation. You can find that here in the balance sheet. Kasi it enumerates here ano yung asset niya at magkano yung utang niya. So, the next one, puntahan natin si income statement. In the case of income statement, gaya ng sabi ko din during our regular class, this is part of the financial statement, one of the major financial statement where it will show magkano yung kinita ng kumpanya sa isang taon on a yearly basis. Ito yun, income statement. If the balance sheet answers the question, the financial status, whether the hospital or the business is rich or financially wealthy or not, if it answers that question, the income statement answers that question, how much does it earn for a particular year? So, on a personal perspective sa atin, ito yung payslip kumbaga natin. Except sa payslip kasi walang expenses. Ang meron lang doon, yung mga legal deductions like pag-ibig, PhilHealth, yung mga ganon. O yung mga tax, income tax. Hindi kasali doon yung family expenses sa bahay, yung mga ganon. Yung hulugan mo, hindi kasali doon. Magkano yung binayaran mo sa sasakyan mo monthly, hindi kasali siya doon. But more or less ganon ang this feature ng isang income statement. So dito, in the income statement, you can see the revenue. Pag sinabi mong revenue, yan yung income or yan yung kita ng isang hospital. So normally sa hospital, yan yung bayad ng mga pasyente. Bayad na sa pasyente. So yan yung revenue. Yan yung ginagamit natin ang sales kung yung business mo are like manufacturing, nagbebenta ka ng sapatos, nagbebenta ka ng ano-ano, you use sales. But you use the word revenue if your business is like that hospital, service ka, oriented. Sa law office, kami, we also use the word revenue. We don't use the word sales. So, but they have the same implication. Yung sa, if your business into buying and selling or manufacturing ka, kumikita ka sa pagbebenta. That's why you use sales. Dito naman, ang binebenta mo, hindi kasi produkto eh. You are selling your services. So, like lawyers, doctors, they sell their services. So, tendency is, yung pagbenta mo na yun, you don't call it sales. Kasi hindi naman bagay yung binenta mo eh. Services yung binenta mo. You call it revenue. So, yun yung, it's just a matter of terminology actually. So, the other one is, yun na yung expenses. Now, merong dalawang klaseng expenses that, we have discussed during our previous regular class, pag sinabi mong expenses, may dalawa yan. We have the cost and the other one is operating expenses. Both of them are called expenses. Except that, uh, kina-classify mo siya for decision-making purposes. Bakit, sir? Actually, when you say cost, it simply means expenses. Arin. Except that this kind of expenses, itong cost, it is as expenses that is directly connected with the, let's say, manufacturing ka ng ang business mo ay you manufacture and then you sell your products that you manufactured. Ang cost mo, which is also an expense, is the expense that is directly connected with the manufacture of your products. Ito yung lagi kong example is the shoes. So ano yung expenses mo doon kung ikaw ay gumagawa ng sapatos at binibenta mo yung sapatos na ginagawa mo? Well, in those instances, ang cost mo doon, which is also your expenses, is yung rubber, yung mga shoelace, o yung sahod ng mga empleyado mo na sa factory na gumagawa, no? Kasi directly connected sila doon sa sapatos. Ang tawag doon, cost. Sir, hindi expense, hindi. Kaya, in accounting, sir, bakit iba yung cost na nalalaman ko? Totoo naman. Totoo naman talaga. Iba yung idea natin sa cost. No? But in accounting, or in business, pag sinabi mong cost, expenses yan. No? Pero ibang klaseng expenses. It is an expenses that is directly connected with the manufacture of the products. Or let's say, sir, let's go to hospital. Ano yung cost mo doon? Marami. Let's say, for example, yung kuryente or yung sahod ng empleyado na nag-operate ng mga machines sa, let's say, sa yung X-ray machine. Yung sahod niya na nag-operate nun, that is a cost. Sir, di ba yung sir salaries? Oh, actually, salaries siya. Pero ang classification niya is cost. Bakit? Kasi direct siya connected doon sa laboratory. Or let's say, ano pa sir? Or let's say for example, yung X-ray, ano ba yun? Yung film? Yun, that is also a cost. Kasi yun mismo yun mismo ay expenses mo. But you call it cost kasi directly connected siya. Yun mismo ang tawag nila doon, yung X-ray mismo, that is a cost. Okay? Or halimbawa sir, yung mga injection, ano ba yan? Yung tawag doon, di ko alam, sorry, pasensya na kayo. Basta yung mga ganon, yung mga medical supplies, that is a cost. Kasi direct mismo siya. Sir, ano yung mga salaries na hindi naman expenses siya? Kanina kasi yung salaries ng, let's say, radio technician ba tawag doon? Yun. Cost yun. Ano naman yung expenses na salaries din? Yung salaries ng secretary ninyo. Diba? Hindi naman sila talaga directly nandun. Sila yung taga-record lang. These are, or salary nung sa accounting department. These are expenses, not cost. Okay? Ano pa yung equipment? Yung bond paper na ginamit doon sa accounting department, hindi naman directly connected doon sa, let's say, sa medical or operating room. Sir, yun yung, ano yung PPE? That is a cost. Kasi directly mong ginagamit ng doktor yun pag nag-opera, that is a cost. Pero sir, ano naman yung halimbawa, yung ballpen na ginamit doon sa accounting o ginamit ng secretary mo, those are expenses. But technically, all of them are called expenses. You just have to classify it. Then, again, we go back to first question. What's the point, sir, of classifying? Bakit mo pa i-classify? Yung lahat naman, when all of them are actually expenses, why do you need to classify them? Well, it's because this is for decision-making purposes. Bakit? Kasi, normally, whether it is a hospital or a manufacturing company or even in a law firm, normally, ang pricing mo, ang billing mo doon sa pasyente mo is actually based on cost. Hindi based doon sa expenses, operating expenses. Bakit, sir? Yun lang yung base ng pricing mo. Kung magkano i-charge mo doon. Sir, di ba sir, may per hour kami? Exactly. Kasi yung per hour mo doon, based doon sa cost yun. Para madaling maintindihan, halimbawa, sa sapatos. Ang sapatos, normally sa sapatos, paggawaan ng sapatos, ang basihan ng paggawa ng sapatos is magkano yung total cost ng paggawa lang ng sapatos. So, nandun yung sahod ng worker, factory worker, magkano yung rubber, magkano yung pandikit, magkano yung shoelace, kung ano man yung materials. Yun lang ang basis. So, let's say, the cost of producing a shoes, one pair of shoes, let's say, 500 pesos. Kasali na doon yung sahod ng mga naggumagawa. 500 pesos. Ang gagawin ng company, they just multiply it with certain number. Let's say, sasabihin na, times 10 tayo parate. Let's say, halimbawa, normally, pag shoes is times 10 eh. Hindi ko sinasabing lahat ng pagkakaroon. Normally, it's only times 10. Lalo na if your company is like Nike shoes, times 20 pa yan. Yung mga Under Armour ata na hindi masyado sikat, yung mga other shoes, times 10 or times 15. But on the average, it's time, let's say times 10 na lang. So let's say 500 pesos is the cost of producing a pair of shoes. Then, you can easily come up with the what? Well, if that's 500 times 10, so the price of this newly manufactured pair of shoes is 5,000. So yun na ibebenta nila, 5,000. Bakit, sir? Kasi nga, in terms of business, pricing your product should always be outright. It should always be immediate. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin, nandyan na yung shoes, natapos na. Dali lang, mag-compute muna ako. It takes days pa. Hindi. In fact, before it is being manufactured, some of them na pre-ordered na yan eh. Hindi naman pwede. Just because pre-ordered, wala kang kwan. So, what's the point? You have to come up with a system that would give you an easy way of identifying and determining the cost or the price of your product. So let's say in one of the companies where I previously worked, I was the VP and I was in charge also of the costing. Our policy is times 10. So yung company namin na yun, we manufacture parang organic na fertilizer. And times 10 kami parate. So madali lang. Magtatanong lang ako sa factory people, magkano ang cost of producing that 1 kilo of fertilizer? Sasabihin na niya sa akin, sir, 200. Times 10, o di 2,000 ang bentahan, 1 kilo. That's how you do it. Otherwise, if you have to go back to your laptop and then start computing on how much you would be selling your product, then it is time consuming. And, you know, in running a business, everything should be with the snap of the finger. It should be snappy. Kailangan mabilisan. And you don't have to, you know, let your client wait. Lalo na sa pricing. So, you have to set up a standard. So, that's the reason. So, pagdating sa costing ng product mo, the difference is always the cost, which is also an expense, except that it is an expense related to the manufacture of your product. This is the only one that is the basis for your pricing. The other expense, which is called operating expenses, wala yan. Wala yan. Expenses lang talaga yan. Another example ng operating expenses is, halimbawa, sa hospital, sahod ng mga security guard mo ng hospital, sahod ng mga, let's say, presidente, mga opisyal ng hospital na hindi na nagtatrabaho bilang doktor. Instead, they work as managers of the hospital. Although doktor sila, then in those cases, their salaries are already considered as expenses, operating expenses. Hindi na siya cost. Okay? So again, let me go back. Anong use ng income statement? If you are the decision maker, you use it to identify and determine magkano bang kinita ng hospital. Sir, sinong magko-compute niyan? Of course, hindi kayo. Well, if you're accountant, ako, when I was working as in a corporate pa ako noon, ako talagang, aside sa accountant ko, chine-check ko rin talaga. Although, tama naman, normal yan. Hindi naman nagloloko siguro ang accountant niya. But I still, sometimes, siguro, you call it trust issue, I still have to check kasi not to mention, marunong naman ako So I still have to check the computation of our accountant. But generally, hindi naman So, that's the income statement. Yan yung gamit ng income statement ng isang, ng isang hospital o ng isang business organization. The other one, ito yung statement of cash flow na lagi kong sinasabi sa inyo noon. You know, the statement of cash flows it answers simply the question, the movement of the cash. Ito yung saan ba napunta ang pera ko? And di ba kahit tayo, di ba? Minsan pag natanggap natin yung sahod natin, minsan tinatanong mo, bili ka dito, bili ka doon. And at the end of the day, you always ask yourself, saan pala napunta yung sahod ko kanina? Then nagba-back tracing ka, di ba? You try to trace back bakit yung sahod mo na 50,000 ang natira na lang 5,000. So you try to trace back. But then again, that's only good if you are talking of, let's say, 1 to 5 transactions. Kahit nga 10, ang hirap na i-recall yan eh. That's good if you are that 3 to 5 transaction. But in the cases of a corporation wherein every day it has several financial transactions, not to mention that you would be talking about, let's say, yung mga 365 days na baka libo-libo ng transaction nun, ibang usapin na talaga yun. You have to come up with a statement of cash flows. And katulad din ng sa tao, we always identify cash flows with the movement. Since ang pinag-usapan natin dito, movement. So, ano yung labas, pasok na pera? Ganun lang, labas, pasok. Labas pera, pasok ang pera. Ganun lang talaga yung flow at movement doon. Ganun din naman sa pag tumanggap ka ng sahod mo, pumasok ang pera mo. Nagbayad ka ng ganito, nagbayad ka ng tuition, kumain ka, nagganito ka, gumastos ka rin, naglabas ka ng pera. The same way, ganun din sa corporation. In a corporation, ang pinag-usapan lang din natin dito, naglabas ka ng pera at may pumasok na pera. Ano yung naglabas ka ng pera? Let's say, for example, nagbayad ka ng sahod ng mga empleyado mo. Or let's say, also, nagbayad ka ng kuryente, nagbayad ka ng tubig. Those are the things that you need to recall. Then you might be asking, sir, bakit kailangan may sariling statement of account ang isang cash? Kasi nga po, gaya ng sabi ko sa inyo kanina from the very start, the resources of the organization is the most important asset of the organization, particularly cash. Actually, cash ang pinaka-importante nga talaga na resources ng organization. Bakit po, sir? Kasi ang cash, ilagay mo lang yung cash dyan sa table, mawawala yan. Pwedeng nakawin yan. Kaya, because of the importance of cash being the most liquid asset of the organization, it is really a requirement also in accounting, in the principles in accounting, that it needs to have its own statement wherein it would reflect its movement. And as I have said, pag sinabi mong movement, dalawa lang yun. Pumasok ang pera, lumabas ang pera. Ano naman yung movement na pumasok ang pera? Well, the movement, we can say, cash inflow, pumasok ang pera, is nakabenta ka. Pagdating sa hospital, yung tawag doon, bayad ng mga pasyente, pumasok ang pera pag nagbayad ang pasyente. Yun lang ang movement. Mas marami ang movement pag palabas eh. Kasi I know for a fact sa hospital, isa lang talagang movement na pumasok ang pera. Yun yung nagbayad ang pasyente. The other one is, let's say for example, pumasok ang pera. Let's say for example, kung nag-loan ang isang hospital, naaprubahan yung loan, may pumasok na pera. Pwede yon. Or pwede rin, tawag dito, nag-invest ang hospital. Let's say nag-invest sila sa stock market, kumita yung in-invest nila, pumasok yung return of investment. That is also cash inflow, pumasok. But most of the time, the cash outflow is yung mga lumabas yung pera. Ano yung mga lumalabas yung pera? Well, yung gold na bayad ng sahod, bayad ng kuryente, yung mga ganon. So, again, you have to determine and you have to identify the movement of cash kasi nga, organization cannot really operate without cash. So, you being the president, you being the leader of the organization, you have to at least be able to determine saan napunta yung pera ng hospital kung saan ikaw ay presidente. So, halimbawa, kahit sa bahay din naman natin, di ba? Kahit marami kang ari-arian, marami kang material asset, kailangan mo pa rin matitrace saan napunta yung kinita mo. And I think whether we're talking of millions or we're talking of few hundreds, at the end of the day, you still have to determine how you spend your money. What's the movement of your cash? Baka napansin mo, ay, bakit sa 50,000 na sahod ko, naubos lang sa pagkain, baka bawas-bawasan ko na kasi sa pagkain, tumataas pa cholesterol ko. Ay, mga ganun. joke lang po yun na. So, the thing is, it all really have to boils down to that particular thing. So, you have to be able to determine kasi kailangan mo kontrolin yung cash mo eh. Kasi kahit sabihin natin, ikaw ay isang hospital, marami kang sasakyan, marami kang property, pero kung wala ka ng pambayad sa kuryente mo, hindi mo naman pwedeng pumunta ka sa Meralco, sasabihin mo, pwede bang pambayad ko sa'yo? Yun na lang lupa ko doon sa likod. Hindi sa'yo mo ipagtayo din naman, di ba? Sa kuryente. You can go to Meralco and tell the Meralco, meron akong Jordan shoes dito, bagong-bago to. Pwede ba ito na lang pambayad ko sa inyo? Meralco would still have to accept cash payment. That's how important cash is. Because all expenses have to be paid in cash. You don't, siguro may mga instances na magbaba. In fact, sahod mo sa empleyado mo. You don't pay your employees salaries using the products that you manufactured. Let's say, for example, you are a shoe manufacturer, hindi mo naman pwedeng gamitin yung sapatos pambayad ng sahod sa empleyado mo. Siguro may empleyado tatanggap, pero hindi all the time. Siguro isang beses. So, sige sir, tanggapin ko to kasi favorite din to ng anak ko, itong sapatos na to. But generally, you have to pay them in cash. Okay? So that's how important. You have to control your cash flow. So anyway, so that's basically the hospital management and financial information system. Any question po? Before we proceed to the tawag dito, before we proceed to the tawag dito, legal and ethical aspect of hospital administration. Health administration. Do you have any question? As I have said, kanino ko ipadala yung, although sabi naman ni Dean sa akin noon, bigyan ko daw rin kayo ng sample problem. Pero nung one time kasi, yung last time, yung binigay ko na, hindi ako ang directly magbibigay sa inyo ng questionnaires. Okay? Ako lang ang gagawa ng questionnaires. Yung binigay ko na questionnaires, akala ko kasi i-revise konti ni Dean. Wala pala siyang ni-revise. So, perfect ata lahat yung mga doctors. Kasi yung binigay ko na sagot, binigay ko na questionnaires, may sagot pa. Sinabi ko lang doon sa mga doktor na, Dok, wag naman copy-paste ha. Pwede, dagdagan mo lang din yung mga sagot. So, kaya ang taas ng mga score. So, to be fair with you, I'll do the same thing. Pero kanino ko siya ipadala? Kanino ko po ipadala sa inyo? Isang tao. Ay, talaga si Doc Nicole talaga. Volunteer agad si Doc. Sige, Doc, ipadala ko sa iyo, Doc, yung questions. Tawag dito. Ipapadala ko po sa inyo yung yung mga tanong to. Yung kwandon I want to be fair with you also para this. Baka kasi magalit naman kayo sa akin at hindi ba yung previous batch nakatanggap ng ganun tapos kayo wala. So I'll give you all same setup na binigay ko doon sa last batch is the same setup that I would give you also para fair. So any question po as far as the hospital management and financial information system. Ang legal and ethical hindi naman tayo ganun kakomplikado tulad nung sa US ours kasi actually not only in the medical profession, even also in although sa legal din sa amin marami-rami na rin because of Larry Gadon si Larry Gadon talaga dahil sa kanya dumami yung kuan namin yung mga code of ethics and we're thankful to that guy Saan ba? Sandali lang. Okay. Ano pa lang? Ayun. And I think the one that is relevant to all of the legal and ethical uh, aspect in health administration is the case of Doc Tiggy Agbayani. I'm sure all of you are familiar with his case. Saan ba dito? So, uh, dahil lang. Hindi pa pala na. One. Wala. Ito na. Okay. Let's start. Siguro. So let's start with this one. So I guess everyone is familiar already with the difference with legal and ethical. Sometimes what is legal may not be ethical or vice versa. Can you see the slide? Kikita niyo na po ba yung slide?
Yes po, Doc.
Yes po.
Ay, attorney.
Okay, thank you. Nalilito na si Doc. Kahit ano, Doc, pwede na. Doktor, attorney. So, ito na. Ano ba ito, no? Yun, that. Paano ba ito lakihan ito? Okay, so as I have said, it's not always that because it's ethical is legal na yon. Maraming issue kasi pagdating sa but the bottom line of all this is that pag sinabi mong legal, the guideline there is the law. So, a thing may be legal but it may not also be ethical. Pwedeng legal pero hindi siya ethical. A thing may be ethical but it may not be legal. Normally ito yung laging question dito is yung niraraspa. Yung ano ba yun, nagpapa-what? Hindi ko alam ang term doon sa yung mga abortion. Well, legally it's prohibited but there are certain instances, 'di ba? Dito sa Pilipinas, pag magpa-abort bago mo yung iraraspa ba yon, yung term nila raspa, you have to have clearance from the NBI. Why? I have one client before naging client ko siya. Tapos one of his children in ata ng mga parang may papunta na rin sa miscarriage pero may natira pa basta ganon. Ang bottom line, that's the first time actually that I heard raspa. Ayun pala yung raspa. But in layman's term pala, yun yung parang abortion pa rin. So when they asked me, attorney, ano bang gagawin namin? So we went to the hospital. Kailangan pala ng clearance din from the NBI. At kailangan during operation, it has to be attended also by NBI. Sabi ko, ganun pala ang rule dito sa Pilipinas yan. I did not learn that until I became nung sa law school ako, hindi tinuro sa amin yung pag sinabi lang sa amin is abortion is, it's prohibited, which is given naman na yun. Pero yung idea na yung procedure, I didn't know that until I became a lawyer. So, yun, ina-allow yun in certain instances because of probably the condition, circumstances allow it to be that way. But still, the law is very strict on that. And let's say, for example, also in case of marijuana, sinasabi nila it's illegal. But, sometimes it's also ethical. Kasi, di ba, may health benefit daw, medical benefit ang marijuana, which is dependent on India. That aspect I cannot tackle on that. So may mga and there was also one debate right now that's going on na let's say yung mga police daw pinapayagan na the drugs kasi duty sila overnight. So parang nawala yung idea, di ba? That used to be illegal. I don't know, but if it's still ethical, whether you are into medical practice, legal profession, or you are into crime fighting like the policeman, kahit anong ethics siguro, we all know that the use of shabu is always ethically not allowed. I don't know why that certain PNP chief biglang sinabi niya na pwede lang sa isang policeman na magshabu kasi pag nagjo-duty sila ng gabi, kailangan nilang nakatingala o nakapan. But then again, gaya ng sabi ko, in the Philippines, as far as the medical practices are concerned, we don't have much jurisprudence kasi in Supreme Court. So we rely simply on the opinion, the report of those professional organizations, like for example, the Philippine Medical Association, yung sa amin naman sa IBP, pero mas marami sa lawyer ang jurisprudence na dumating sa Supreme Court. I had one friend who is also active in medical profession, and he's, I think, an officer also in your organization. Sabi niya, karamihan daw talaga, I don't know, correct me, kasi at least kayo yung nandyan sa profession na yan. According to him, some of the, let's say, malpractice, an allegation, ako, I don't really use the word one. Lagi kong nilalagyan, an allegation, kasi hindi naman nakarating sa korte. Kung nakarating man sa korte, hindi pa napatunayan eh. So, they are just accusation, they are just allegation. It will probably have ripened into a full-blown, let's say, trial once it is proven that talagang yung allegation is no longer an allegation, no longer an accusation, but it could be converted na into a conviction. But once it's still in the stage of accusation pa lang, mahirap gumamit ng mga ganon eh. But anyway, according to him, most of the allegations of malpractices against certain professional or doctors actually hindi nakakarating sa korte. Karamihan inaayos na lang. Now, if you ask me on a point of view of the legal point of view, sir, tama ba yung ginawa pag ganon? Actually, I would advise all my clients, whether not necessarily related to legal profession, yung mga malpractices, kahit sa mga lawyers, mga doctors, or sa mga engineers, o kahit yung normal na tao na nagkasala, na akusahan, if you think you are at fault, huwag nyo nang paratingin sa korte. Minsan sasabi ko nga, mas magaling pa ata ang doktor makipag-usap kaysa abogado Kasi if you look at the jurisprudence in the Philippines, ang daming abogado na natanggalan ng lisensya kaysa doktor natanggalan ng lisensya. Kumbaga pa, kung ang doktor na dumating sa korte ata, yung napinal, wala. Pero ang lawyer, siguro hindi nabababa sa 1,000 Totoo yun ang natanggalan ng lisensya na abogado. Sa batch lang namin sa Ateneo. 2 na, kaklase ko natanggalan ng lisensya Kumbaga pa, we have a flowery and voluminous, jurisprudence as far as lawyers disbarment are concerned. But nothing is ever involved in disbarment or in the case of license revocation as far as medical practice. Sa nurse meron na sa nurse. Pero sa doktor parang wala pa akong alam. Unlike in the US, they have strict meron pala sa doktor, meron. Yung nakalimutan niya, sorry, meron pala isa sa doktor. Yung nakalimutan niya yung gunting, anong tawag ba sa doktor yung gunting na ginagamit ninyo? Nakalimutan niya sa tiyan nung inoperahan niya. That's isa yun sa mga topics namin sa reckless imprudence, which is actually medical malpractices. There was this one doctor. I don't know what specific hospital is that doctor. Nung mag-inoperahan niya basta sa katawan, naiwan yung gunting at saka yung yung guantes. I don't know what you call that. Naiwan yung dalawa. So nagulat ata yung pasyente, ba't may kumikirot sa katawan niya? Hindi naman daw yung gunting na, basta hindi yung malaki namang gunting, maliit lang. Nung in-x-ray siya, nakita yung one piece at saka yung, yun pala, meron pala, sorry. Meron pala sa medical doctors. But I think the doctor who conducted the operation parang masyadong negligent naman yun na nakalimutan mo pa yung ganon. Siguro nagmamadali na yung doktor na yun. But as I have said, we don't have a colorful jurisprudence in the Philippines compared that of the US. Sa US kasi very strict sila when it comes to medical practice. Stricto din naman sa atin. Meron din namang sumasablay. As what my friend told me, karamihan daw talaga pagdating sa kanila daw, sa mga doctors, sinisettle na lang. Sinisettle na lang nila doon pa lang sa level ng let me stop sharing this one. Kunin ko yung isa. Doon pa lang sa level na yun, sinishare na nila yung sinishare din tawag doon. Sinisettle na nila. Which is, gaya ng sabi ko din sa mga clients ko, pagdating sa ganon, you do not wait for the case to reach the court. Bakit po, sir? Kasi the moment a case, whether it is a normal medical malpractice o kahit sa labor o kahit anong kaso, huwag yung paratingin sa korte. Kasi pagdating sa korte, kahit ang isang biktima nakipag-ayos na, hindi na siya ang magde-decide nun. Ang magde-decide nun, si judge na. Si judge, pag ganun, lalo na kung your case would be assigned to a judge na gusto magpakitang gilas, lahat naman tayo may kanya-kanyang personality Gustong magyabang, hindi niya i-dismiss yun. Kasi under the law, the moment the court is reached, the moment a case reached the court, all things mattered about, orders or decision as to the trial, the flow of the proceedings or the trial would have to be under the full control of the judge. So matters like, whether it will be dismissed or not, lies in the absolute discretion of the judge. So hindi pwede yung hayaan mo. Kaya, let's say for example, hindi naman kailangan sa medical malpractice, nakasagasa ka dyan, pakiusapan mo na. Try to reach out. A good example is actually yung sa airport, yung SUV na nakasagasa nung bata na kuwan ata. It was all over the news na after that, yung nakabangga, talagang he tried to reach out the parties. Aksidente naman, but I think yung parties ayaw magpag-ayos. Okay lang yun kung ayaw talaga may pag-ayos. But, normally kasi pag mga aksidente or yung mga ganyan, malpractices, kung aksidente naman, wala namang magawa talaga dun Normally, sa experience ko as a lawyer, lagi kong sinasabi nga sa kliyente ko, try to reach out. Kung ikaw yung nakaagrabyado, hindi na issue doon kung anong profession na doon ka. Basta kung ikaw yung nagkasala, you try to reach out. And walang masama naman dyan kung humingi ka ng paumanhin. During my time, tawag dito, although meron din talagang instances na even if you try to reach out, kahit aksidente nangyari, or anong kaso man yan, even if you try to reach out the victim, they still refuse to yan yung recent case ko na I think just this year around lumabas yun sa mga newspaper. I have one client na isang sikat na executive ng isang television company who was accused of sexually harassing and raping a minor. Actually, hindi na minor. Artista din yun. Actually, hindi na minor. Dalawa sila nung executive na yun. One of the executives happened to be my classmate in Ateneo. Actually, mabait naman yung classmate ko na yun. Siguro, pag tumira kasi ng drugs, pag nandun na talaga yung drugs, wala na But he was really good man. He's a good man. He was my classmate way back in Ateneo days. Ang nangyari, he was being accused together with an executive kapareho niya by that actor. Yung actor na yun galing din sa sikat na pamilya. So I remember that classmate of mine calling me, attorney, tulungan mo ako. Sabi ko, bakit? Ano bang nangyari? Sabi niya, kasi ganito, ganito. Although hindi pa pumutok yun sa newspaper. Sabi ko, ganon. Sabi ko, pwede mong ikwento sa akin anong nangyari. Nung kinuwento, sabi ko, Kwan ha, no, Kwan ha, walang dagdag bawas. Kwento mo lang. So, kinuwento niya, immediately, hindi pa lumabas yun. Sabi niya, anong gagawin ko, attorney? So, I told him, the best way of uh, trying to resolve this issue, sabi ko sa kanya. And I always tell this to all my clients. Kung sabi ko, ikaw nagkamali, try to reach out the family. Isikat yung pamilya nung bata din. Kasi they belong to the pamilya din ng mga sikat na aktor o mga actress. So, nag-reach out ata sila, but before he's communicating with the victim, na makipag-meet sila, nag-beg off na ako. sabi niya, can you be my lawyer? Sabi ko sa kanya. Sabi ko, sorry. Sabi ko, alam mo, sabi ko sa kanya, it's so hard. Sabi ko, if this case will go into fruition, go into court, rather, chances are, sabi ko sa kanya, matatalo ka. And, you bid goodbye to your directorship. Director kasi siya ng isang TV station. Mangyari doon, bid goodbye ka na. Sabi niya, bakit? Sabi ko, there is really conviction with all the pieces of evidence that, sabi niya, so anong gagawin ko to? Sabi ko, ganito lang gawin natin. Hindi ako maging lawyer mo. Tulungan na lang kita. Sabi niya, bakit nga ba ayaw ko maging lawyer? Sabi ko, ayaw ko yung, alam mo kami mga abogado, meron din kaming ganon na fear. Ano yung fear namin? Yung alam namin na walang laban yung kaso at alam namin na matatalo yung kliyente. Ako, right now, during the early days of my career, I normally accept kahit patalo yung kaso. Sayang din yun pera din yun But right now, I normally decline na to accept pag medyo talo talaga ang kaso. Bakit? Lalo na criminal cases. Kung civil pwede, okay lang. Kasi pera-pera lang. Kung matalo ka, bayaran mo. In criminal kasi, pag matalo ka, may kulong So sabi ko sa kanya, I don't want to carry that burden for the rest of my life. That, my classmate in Ateneo, nakukulong na ako yung abogado niya. Dinabihan ko siya. Sabi niya, matatalo ba ako? Sabi ko, yes. In all honesty, sabi ko sa kanya. Sabi ko, pareho lang naman kami pinag-aralan ng abogado mo But if I based your narration of facts for my decision making, whether I would take you as my client, sabi ko, chances are you will be convicted. So, kumuha siya ng ibang lawyer, but I still help him. So, when they tried to reach out from the family, parang nagkamali ata siya ng sinabi doon sa pamilya. Kasi parang sinabi niya, you name ano ba tawag doon? You name foundation na magbigay ako. Kasi ayaw tanggapin ng pamilya yung pera Sabi ko, alam mo, some victims want money. Gusto nila ng pera, but not all. Kung medyo mayaman, huwag kang mag-offer agad ng pera. Remake mo na yung anak nila, gusto mo pang bayaran sila. So, there's always right time and right word to say it. And yun yung art na kailangan natutunan ng mga abogado. So, I told him, I cannot also attend that meeting na trying to reach out. Kasi gusto niyang nandun ako. Kasi sabi ko, baka pag nandun ako, ma-identify din ako. Unless I would introduce myself as your lawyer already. Pero kung nandun lang ako para yung makikichismis lang, baka madamay pa ako sa makasuhan. Sinabi ko na rin sa kanya. Sabi niya, what would I do? Sabi ko, try to, pakiramdaman mo muna yung biktima. Nung nagkwento niya, mayayaman yung biktima. Sabi ko, I think if you offer monetary as an indemnity, you have to probably try to segue other form of monetary contribution or donation. And the family happens to be active in foundations. Yun ang in-offer niya. Nagalit ata yung tatay kasi artista din yung tatay ng bata. So, now I think the case is gone. So, hindi naman lahat ng trying to reach out would result to a good would yield a good result. But the first thing that you would do if you would be in that situation where you are the culprit is try to reach out the victim. But do not reach out immediately after the commission of the crime or the wrong. Kasi fresh pa sa kanila yon. Palipasin mo lang muna ng ilang araw. Then that's the time. And when you negotiate, you see to it na nandoon yung people respected by that victim. Yung meron silang representative na nire-respeto nila. Kasi if you go directly to the victim or to the family of the victim, most likely yung emotions ang mangingibabaw. So don't go there. Siguro, halimbawa, if he lives in a barangay and they're close to the barangay captain, probably during the negotiation, you can invite the barangay captain. Yun ang ginagawa ko parate. Or let's say meron kaming common friends, halimbawa, yung biktima, may kaibigan ako, nakakilala niya, you have common friends na nire-respeto niya. Then during the negotiation, I will try to, pag ako ng lawyer nung culprit, in-invite namin yung common friends. That's the way of doing it. Kasi, lagi ko nga sinasabi, as much as possible, do not wait for the case to go to court. Because the moment it reaches the court, it's no longer, it's beyond your control anymore. Unlike if the case is still on the fiscal level, fiskalya pa lang, o prosecutor, you can still negotiate. In fact, yung mga piskalya, they want cases to be just within that level. Kasi good point sa kanila yon na naayos, na amicably, that the case was amicably settled, good point sa kanila yon. So if you are the fiscal, you would want it that way because that's a good point for your promotion. So in those instances, doon pa lang ang term namin dyan sa batas, gapangin mo na. Kasi lalo na kung ikaw naman, feeling mo naman talaga, ikaw yung nakaagrabyado, you have to go. No. The term is gapangin mo na kung kahit anong gawin mo para ma-avoid lang ang litigation. So in those instances, let's now go to the case of kay Doc Iggy Agbayani. And
Attorney,
I guess
sorry
yes,
po for interrupting. Nagtatanong po si General Acosta, hanggang 11 po tayo, no?
give me siguro mga 11. Okay lang ho
sige.
ba?
Sabihan
Pero
ko po
patapos na rin ako. I'll just discuss the issue of Doc Iggy, then after that, pwede nang mag-cut. Ha? Mga 10
sige po.
minutes siguro, ma'am.
Sige po,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you po, Doc. Thank you. So, what happened to the case of Doc Iggy Agbayani? Ang nangyari sa kanya, actually, ang mali doon, yung lawyer. Kaya minsan, katulad din naming mga hindi doktor, pag meron kayong finding sa amin, we go for second opinion. Ganon din kayong mga hindi lawyer, do not totally rely on your lawyer. Lalo na if your lawyer are yung tinatawag nating abogado de campanilla, ay wag kayo doon. You consult a lawyer who probably is your friend or probably not interested in handling your case. Kasi if you approach a lawyer and then that lawyer is tinatawag naming abogado de campanilla, pera-pera lang. Kahit wala kang laban, sasabihin sa'yo, may laban ka. Kasi pera ka rin eh. Tingin nila sa'yo pera na. I always tell my clients, do not look for lawyer who is actually yung abogado de campanilla. Or if you go to a law firm, kaya nang sabi ko din, it's probably because of a recommendation of a friend. Uy, punta ka doon sa law firm na yan. Magagaling yan. Kilala ko yung lawyer doon. So pagpunta mo doon, sabi ko, ay ako pala yung pinadala dito ng si ganito. Kaibigan ko yun, pasok. So pag halimbawa may mga referral, talagang sobrang ingat ako doon kasi baka mapahiya ako doon sa nag-refer sa kanya eh. At saka, normally, pag kaibigan ko yung lumapit sa akin, it's usually, I approach them as if I am the judge, not as their lawyer. Let me go back to my friend kanina. Nung sinabi niya, attorney, may laban ba ako? Sabi ko, the reason why I'm not going to handle your case is precisely because you're going to lose the case. So the best way of doing it is try to reach out that victim as early as now or palipasin mo lang ng ilang araw, then try to reach out. Otherwise, if you go into court, patatalo ka. Ganong klaseng lawyer ang tanongin nyo. Yung kaibigan, hindi ang tingin sa'yo pera. So, ganon din kami. Ganon din kung kami sa inyo, mayroon kami mga second opinion sa ibang doktor, ibang hospital, the same way kayo also. Kasi kahit sabihin mo na magkaparehong batas ang pinag-aralan namin, magkaiba naman ang intensyon namin. Halimbawa, pag nagtanong ka sa isang abogado de Campanilla, ang intensyon niya kumita. So kahit wala kang laban, may laban ka, sasabihin niya. Pero kung pareho lang kami, alam mo lahat kami, kung ano yung inaral ni Attorney A, ganun din ang inaral ni Attorney B. Ang magkaiba na lang namin doon, ano yung intention namin. Kung intention namin kumita sa'yo, we will really try to give you information or data that gusto mong marinig. So, let's go back to the case of Doc Iggy. Actually, yung case niya, what happened is that it was actually a fault of a lawyer. Kasi yung case naman talaga niya, parang ang nangyari ata, yung hindi na, yung sterile ata yung kwan. Basta, although I'm not really familiar exactly with ano yung nangyari, but I'm familiar with the yung legal procedure. Ang nangyari ata ng ginawa ng lawyer niya is that when a case was being filed, kasi yung lawyer ata yung pasyente niya, and because of that, parang hindi daw nagkaroon daw ng, ano ba nun? Nagkatetano ba? Yan yung alam ko. Sorry ha, I'm not really good at mga legal terminology. Basta nagka-side effect na it took a month for the patient, a lawyer patient, not to be able to walk down. So the patient, mga hulifenya ata, were actually known in legal professions as mga lawyer, family of lawyers. Siyempre, kinasuhan si Doc Iggy. Walang problema doon sa kaso. Ang nangyari ata, nung natalo na si Doc, okay, pagpalagay na natin, medyo bopol yung nakuha ni the late Doc na lawyer. What happened is that ang penalty lang ni Doc is originally 2 years. Ang penalty niya. Kung ako yung lawyer noon, instead of pumunta siya sa korte, binabaan pa yun into 1 year eh. Binabaan pa ng Supreme Court. Nag-appeal si Doc papunta doon, 1 year. Sobra na nga siya, more than 1 year na siya sa kulungan eh. So, dapat, the moment hindi pa, kahit wala pang desisyon ng korte, the moment pumalo na yung 1 year, nag-file na dapat siya ng letter. Sumulat na siya, nag-file ng motion that my client has been staying in jail for like 1 year. So, whatever would be the penalty, which the maximum is 1 year, then he could have easily, pwede mo na siyang ilabas. Kumbaga pa, whether mag-guilty siya or not, na-serve na niya yung 1 year. Ang ginawa ng abogado, hinayaan lang. So, he stayed in the jail for like 2 years and a half. But the penalty is only 1 year. Diba? So, may negligence on the part of the law. Or granting, isa yun sa option. Pangalawang option, meron kasi kami tinatawag sa batas na salo na ISLAW. ISLAW, ISLAW. Indeterminate Sentence Law. ISLAW ang tawag namin dyan. Ano yun, sir? Yan yung kung halimbawa ang isang akusado na convict ng krimen ng less than 6 years. 6 years pwede niyang iserve yung sentence niya sa labas ng kulungan. Lalo na kung ang isang convict na tao ay first-timer. Baga pa, alam ba, first time mong nakakommit ng offense at sinabi ng court, ikaw, Doc, you are found guilty of the crime of blah, 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 physical injuries. You are hereby suffered to, to be in jail for like, let's say, 2 years. Tulad nung kay Doc Iggy. Pwede rin naman kung ako yung lawyer, tanong, gusto mo Doc, sa labas ka na lang mag-serve ng sentence mo, hindi na sa kulong. Paano yun? Mag-apply ka lang. Sulatan mo lang, automatic yun. Sabihin mo sa korte, Court, my client is a first-time offender. He is not a recidivist. Tawag namin nun, he is not an incorrigible learner. First time nga lang eh. Aksidente pa, hindi naman niya sinadya yun eh. With more reason. At saka doktor pa yan, orthopedic doctor, head ng MADOX. With all the advantages in favor of Doc Iggy, The lawyer could have easily talk. Your Honor, he's a first-time offender. His reputation is very good. He's the head of the orthopedic of Maddox, you know, and everything is just accident. He has no intention really of committing the crime. And the penalty is less than 6 years, which is 2 years. Can he serve his sentence outside the jail or outside the tawag dito? Dito sa Muntinlupa? Yes! Automatic yun. I-grant agad yun eh. Ang hindi lang pinapayagan doon, yung tinatawag naming recidivist. Ano yung recidivist? Yung paulit-ulit na lang gumagawa ng krimen. Huwag mo nang allow yun. I-serve talaga sa loob. So those two instances are actually available for lawyers at the time. So there was the part. Kaya when after that, nung namatay si Doc Iggy, what happened? There was actually clamor, not only on the medical profession, but even among lawyers. Kasi, yun din yung kasagsagan nung nangyari kay Larry Gadon. Si Larry Gadon naman, OA naman kasi talaga yun. No? Grabe naman mapagmura talaga yun. Although lawyers is mahilig talaga magmura, yun sa kanya kasi OA na eh, sobra na eh. Even me ako naman, minsan as an expression, makapagmura ka, yun sa kanya OA na rin yun eh. Parang is already at the threshold of hell at eh. Nasa pintuan na siya ng impyerno sa pagmumura eh. Parang hindi naman maganda na yun eh. Although, yan ang sabi ko, generally lawyers mapagmura. Okay. Pero yung ginawa niya, sobra na yun. Hindi, kumbaga pa kahit si Satanas doon magulanta na sa kanya, wow, may mas mapagmura pa sa akin. So, this also happened during the time of Larry Gadon, itong kaso ni Doc Iggy. That's why, siguro, hindi nakapag-focus ang court doon. So when the Supreme Court conducted an investigation about the case of Doc Iggy, ang nangyari is, they really found out that there was really negligence also on the part of the lawyer. And yun, and just a piece of advice in your case, if you would be in that situation, later on, which knock on wood, one naman, try to reach out. Rule number 1, try to reach out. Reach out talaga sa victim. Whether the victim was intentionally harmed by you or not, or accidental, it does not matter. You try to reach out. But when you reach out, see to it that everything is already cooled down. Siguro, bigyan mo lang siguro mga 3 araw, ng ganon. Kasi hindi ka, wag naman paabuti ng taon. Pag abuti ng taon, nasa korte na yon. So, mga 3 days lang. Tapos, see to it that when you try to reach out, it's always mediated by someone that is respectable person to both parties. So, not necessarily both parties, respectable person ng someone look up to by the victim. So, let's say kung ang biktima, tulad ng example ko na, stay din na barangay and close doon sa barangay kapitan, you try, or meron kayong common friends, you try to mediate. Don't go there na pupunta ka ng mag-isa, tulad nung kliyente ko na kaibigan ko. Ay talagang binara siya ng mga pamilya na eh. Mayaman din yun eh. Mas mayaman nga sa kanya yun eh. Binara siya. So don't go there na ikaw lang mag-isa. I think ang nangyari din tulad nitong yung sa airport, tawag dito, when he tried to reach out, mag-isa siya or his lawyer. As much as possible, do not also invite lawyer during the time of reaching out. Kasi minsan, kahit ka tayo naman, the moment ordinaryong usapan lang, magdala ka ng lawyer, iba ng dating na. Iba ng dating. So the best way, you just invite someone that is common friends sa both parties, or kung hindi man, someone look up to by the victim. Then, the fourth one, you ask also second opinion from a lawyer. Pag sinabing second opinion, huwag din yung nagtanong ka nga ng second opinion. Isang abogado de Campanilla, nagtanong ka rin sa second opinion ng isa pang abogado de Campanilla, huwag yun. Pareho lang ang result nun kasi, gaya ng sabi ko sa inyo, all lawyers, we study the same law. Okay? We have the same interpretation of the law. Meron lang ibang mga batas magkaiba interpretation, but generally, 99% we have the same interpretation of the law. What's the difference? Bakit nag-aaway pa rin? Well, it lies on the intention. One lawyer, his intention is to earn money. The other lawyer, his intention is to help a friend. Magkaiba yun. So there goes the difference. So you try to ask also second opinion. But the see to it, kung pwede, magtanong ka doon sa kaibigan mo talaga. I'm sure your doctors, some people who are also capable naman na mga lawyers din. So that's it. That's all. That's all about the medical, legal and ethical aspect of health administration. Thank you everyone. Thank you. If there's any more question, please feel free to ask. But I will give the I'll give the possible questionnaires to kanino ba 'yon? Nawala na ako. Nawala siya dito eh, si Nicole, Doc Nicole.
Sa akin po, yes po. Thank you.
Ipadala ko agad ngayon, Doc, kasi actually kahit nasa probinsya ako, kinukulit ako ni Dean Manny, sabi niya na ipadala ko daw agad sa kanya at saka alam na yung meaning nun eh. Alam mo naman si Dean Manny pagdating dyan, mabait naman yun eh. Alam mo, sabi niya, i-share mo din para, you know, ganda naman yung compre niya. So, any more question, Doc? Mga docs, thank you thank you. Alam ko you should be in church right now, you should be with your family, but you still attend this review. Any question po? Wala na po. Doc Nicole, pwede ko na kayong i-dismiss.
Yes po. Thank you very much po.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Tribute sa kanila, Doc, ha, nung questions, Doc. Pero most likely yun na yung lalabas. So most likely, kasi si Dean Manny hindi naman nagbabago ng questions. Yun pa, hindi yun nagkukuha. So, yung sagot, yung ibibigay ko sa inyo, yun na mismo yung paper. Ang pinagkaiba lang doon sa inyo, may sagot. Dagdagan nyo na lang ha, baka naman magkapareho kayo ng sagot. Dagdagan nyo na ng mga, ang mga sagot doon, mga less than 1 page ng paper. So, may sagot na rin. Dagdagan nyo lang ng mga 1 o 2 paragraphs. Ha? Okay?
Thank you po.
Thank you
Okay
din po.
po. Thank you po.
Okay.
Thank you
Okay,
po.
bye-bye. Happy weekend, everyone. Happy weekend.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.